fresh out the motherfucking pack. Right out the niggas don't know how to act.
Hello. Welcome to this channel. I have not uploaded a video on this channel in like 9 months. In that time, I have been doing 2 podcasts, both with a camera. This is actually my first video on this channel, I believe, with a face cam. But yeah, in that time, I've done 2 other podcasts, one of which was a basketball podcast, which is no longer continuing, and another was a football podcast, which is still going. I will link that in the description of this video. Go check that out. But yeah, I wanted to come back to this channel because, I think in the last 12 months I've uploaded like 45 videos or been a part of 45 videos. So that's about like one a week or something like that. So I feel like might as well put forth that effort into this channel, the one where it was all started, I guess. Have videos on this channel dating back several years. So I want to get back on this channel, and since it's the NFL off season, I figured I'd be doing videos on something I'm really interested in and passionate on, and that is the draft process. And so let's get into it. So we got a mock draft here as my first video back, and I have put a lot of research. I've watched many mock drafts the last couple months, and I feel like I got a pretty good idea of what all the teams' needs are and my own opinions on where some guys are going to go. And let's get into this. Okay, so as I go on with this channel, there will be many mock drafts on here. In the future, I will do trades. In this first one, I will not do trades. I will just leave it as is. And I think this is a possible scenario because I'm not entirely sure that the Bears will be able to find a trade partner within the top 4 so they can get Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. So we might see a situation where they end up with the first pick. And like I said, no trades. Let's start the draft. So who do they take with the first pick? There was a story that came out about them possibly being interested in moving on from Justin Fields to take a quarterback. That is complete shit. Warren Sapp should be ashamed of himself for writing that. There is no truth to that. There is zero chance the Bears take a quarterback with this pick. So who does that leave? The only 2 defensive players who are capable of going number 1, Will Anderson, in my opinion, the best prospect in the last 3 or 4 years in the draft. Absolutely amazing. But from all accounts, the Bears are not interested in him. They're more interested in Jalen Carter, who I personally don't really see it, especially not the first pick, but this is who they're tied to most often, and assuming they keep the first pick, that's who I will give them at number 1. Moving on to the Texans, they ended up winning their very last regular season game in OT, dropping down to pick 2. We knew the whole time this was going to be a quarterback, whether or not the team trades up to 1 to take Bryce Young from them. We will see, but in this situation, Bryce Young falls. I think Bryce is easily the best quarterback in this class, and we'll give him to the Texans. Pick 3, the Cardinals. I think this is pretty easy. Kyler Murray, obviously, you're not going to draft a quarterback. The only defensive player left from those top 2 I mentioned earlier, Will Anderson, amazing prospect, amazing to get him with the 3rd pick. Cardinals very lucky there. Now we have the Colts. They are the team most often linked to that first overall pick, possibly trading up with the Bears. But I think this is a good spot for them as well because CJ Stroud, in my opinion, is a quarterback who is a first overall caliber player. I think he will be a franchise quarterback moving forward, and they get one with the 4th pick, so lucky for them. Now to my Seahawks. I have spent many hours thinking about this pick, and basically the 2 options I see, not Will Levis, thank God, the 2 options I see are between Tyree Wilson, where is he? And Miles Murphy here out of Clemson. Let me just sort actually, so it'll be a little easier. I do think edge is our number 1 priority, and to have 2 good options here between Tyree Wilson and Miles Murphy is very good for us. I believe Tyree Wilson has the higher upside as a pure pass rusher. He's more of an athletic freak, if you will. But I think Miles Murphy is a safer pick. I think he's going to come in immediately and be a run stuffer, great at the line of scrimmage, and I think that's what we need most right now. So I'm going to give us Miles Murphy with the 5th pick. Moving on to the Lions, they have a lot of needs. They were a very surprising team, but that defense has just got awful. So they could use help all over that defense, and the number 1 spot, in my opinion, is corner. So this is where the first corner off the board is going to go, in my opinion. And in my opinion, there are 6 guys: Devon Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez, Joey Porter, Keely Ringo, Cam Smith, and where is he? Did I say it already? Devon Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez, Joey Porter, Cam Smith, Keely Ringo, and oh, never mind. This was a big 5. So for many of those 5, I think the top 2 I've seen them linked to are Christian Gonzalez and Joey Porter. I think Witherspoon is also an option here, in my opinion. Well, I'll get to who the number 1 corner is, in my opinion, a little later. But I'm gonna give him Joey Porter here. I feel like, I don't want to call him the safest pick, but I feel like if you're gonna take a corner top 6, Joey Porter is the guy to go. I feel like at his size, his speed, his length, he will be a day 1 starter and probably, possibly with Okuda, fix the Lions' cornerback problems going forward. 7th pick here, Oakland. I feel like this has to be a quarterback. They just released Derek Carr today when I'm recording this video. So it has to be Will Levis. It has to be Anthony Richardson. Who are they going? Will Levis is getting a lot of hype unnecessarily, in my opinion. I have a quarterback video coming up soon where I will go more in depth on that. But the typical Raiders pick, in my opinion, the most athletic freak on the board. And if there is one guy in this draft who defines athletic freak, it is Anthony Richardson. I'm going to have him going at 7 here to the Raiders. Next up, we have the Falcons. As long as I have lived, the Falcons have had a bad defense. Let's try and change that up here. A lot of options. I could go Brian Brzee. I could give him a corner, but I think what they need most is a dominant pass rusher. And Tyree Wilson is right there for you at 8. I'm going to give him to the Falcons. Next up, Panthers. They're stuck with Will Levis here, in my opinion. They have a lot of needs. You could go Bijan. You could go another pass rusher, Brian Brzee, maybe take a receiver. But I just, if you look at Frank Reich, the new head coach, his last several quarterbacks, Matt Ryan, Philip Rivers, Nick Foles, Carson Wentz, I think he has a style of quarterback that he likes to coach and he likes to use, and I think Will Levis fits that mold. I mean, he has a strong arm, he has good size. He played in a pro style offense. He didn't play well in that offense, but he played in one in college. So it pains me to draft Will Levis in the top 10, even in a mock draft, but I think it just makes the most sense for the Panthers here. Next up with the Eagles. This is such an amazing pick because they are a Super Bowl roster. They've just lost the Super Bowl, so they have an amazing team. They don't really have any holes, but so with this pick, you can go wherever you want. And the smart move here would be to draft either defensive line or corner so you can save money there moving forward. But in my opinion, we all saw Miles Sanders do absolutely nothing in the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship for that matter. So what do you do to fix that running back problem? You draft the best running back prospect in the entire class, and that's Bijan Robinson. That's my first kind of really iffy pick, but I think Bijan on the Eagles would just be an absolute monster behind that offensive line. Next up, speaking of monster run games, we got the Titans. This is pretty clearly left tackle. I mean, it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to release Taylor Lewan if they haven't already. They might have. So they need left tackle more than any other team in the league, in my opinion. So here are the top 3: Paris Johnson, Skoronski, or Broderick Jones. I think Skoronski is more of an offensive guard in the NFL. So that leaves Paris Johnson and Broderick Jones. Who do you take? I think Paris Johnson is probably the safer pick, but I think for that that Titans run scheme, Broderick Jones as just a mauler in the run game, I think he fits in with that culture perfectly. So I'm gonna give him Broderick Jones here. Next up, we got the Texans. I think after taking the quarterback, you could go O-line here, you could go pass rush. Their defense was atrocious. They just got DeMeco Ryans, a defensive-minded head coach, but I think you give Bryce Young a number 1 target for the future, and that would be Quentin Johnston, the best receiver prospect in this class without a doubt. I think he is a perfect X receiver in the NFL with his size, his speed, his hands. I think it's a very safe pick there to give Bryce Young a number 1 receiver moving forward. Next up, we have the Jets. They need a quarterback, but I don't think this is where they're going to get it. We're going to go O-line, and probably the safest O-line prospect in the entire draft, in my opinion, Peter Skoronski. He has short hands. Or not short hands, short arms. So he may not translate to the NFL as a tackle, but even if he doesn't, he'll be the best guard prospect in this entire class. They have Elijah Vera Tucker from a few draft classes ago, but I mean, having depth on the offensive line is never a problem. And for all I know, he could end up being their starting left tackle for the next 10 years. Who knows? Next up, we have the Patriots. In my opinion, this pick is either left tackle or corner. I've gone left tackle on my own personal mock drafts before, so here I'll go corner. Who would they take? I think a guy like Christian Gonzalez is perfect for them with his size, his ball skills, his cover ability. They need a true boundary corner, and I think Christian Gonzalez will be that guy for them. Next up, the Packers. I don't really know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers and all that. What I do need is that all. What I do know is that that offense was horrible last season, and they need help at receiver. Who do you take? You take probably the best wide receiver in this whole class, Jordan Addison from the inside, amazing route runner. I mean, he won the Blitnikoff in 2021, so last season. I think him and Christian Watson is an amazing start for whoever plays quarterback for the Packers next season. Commanders here, I think this pick has to be corner. I don't really see any other pick here besides corner. So, what are our options? Devon Witherspoon, Cam Smith, or Keely Ringo. It's between those three. In my opinion, I think Cam Smith as a man corner is the best fit here. Uh, I've seen him go all over. I've seen him go top 10. I've seen him go out of the first round entirely. It's a crapshoot at who they're going to take between all the corners available. I'm going to go Cam Smith right now because of the man coverage scheme. We'll see. Steelers. Offensive line, in my opinion, they could also go corner. I think if a guy like Joey Porter is available, they probably go corner. But instead, you know who's available? Paris Johnson, the safest left tackle prospect this entire class. They're not going to pass up on that. On to the lines. We already had them taking Joey Porter. They could go defensive line here. Matter of fact, I'm going to give him defensive line. Brian Verzee is still available. He could go in the top 10, to be honest, to a team like the Falcons. He's still available at 18. I think you just got to take that opportunity to get a solid. You know he's going to be a productive defensive tackle in the NFL. You just know that. It's a guarantee. And I don't think you pass up on that day at 18. Buccaneers here. I think if Anthony Richardson is available, you take him. I think if Bijan Robinson is available, you take him. Neither of those guys are available. Now what? Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy Bunting are both free agents. There's a chance they bring back neither of those guys. Most likely they bring back one. Either way, you'd have a hole at corner. Who do you take? In my opinion, the best corner in the whole class, Keely Ringo. He's had issues in college. He gets lost a little bit. He overplays sometimes. He does not attack the ball when it's in the air well. However, his size, his speed, I think the physical profile, the intent or what's it called? The tangibles, intangibles, the things you can't teach, size, he has, athleticism. And that's the most important thing to play corner in the NFL. He can be taught all of the other things. Look at a guy like Tariq Woolen, the Seahawks just drafted last season. All he had was athleticism and size, and he made their Pro Bowl team year one. So I think Keely Ringo has the highest upside of any corner in this whole class, and at 19, that's an easy pick in my opinion. Seahawks here, I know this pick very well. We could go wide receiver. We could go tight end to boost an already good offense. Instead, I'm going to address our biggest need, which was run defense last season. And with a guy like, where is he? With a guy like Trenton Simpson out of Clemson available here, I don't think you pass up on that. I've seen him go even higher in this draft. So at 20, he fills a big hole for us at linebacker. Jordan Brooks might not be available to start the season. I think that's a great pick at 20. 21 here for the Chargers. Another team who I feel like does not have many holes at all. Any pick here would just be adding to whatever their strength is. And here, with all the injuries we've seen at receiver for them, I think the options you have here, it's impossible to not take one of these guys. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, probably the highest upside of any receiver in this entire class. He really only has one season of production. Last season he was hurt. Freshman season he didn't play a whole lot, but that sophomore season he was absolutely incredible with his size, his route running, his hands. I think it's a guarantee with Justin Herbert at quarterback that he translates to the NFL. And at 21, that's a great pick. Now a team that just needed a receiver, but it's off the board. Do you still take a receiver here? No. In my opinion, you take a cornerback. Marcus Peters is getting very old. Marlon Humphrey's good, but you need somebody else there. Who do you take? Devon Witherspoon, right there, available, no brainer in my opinion. Vikings needed a DB. Devon Witherspoon's gone. The Big Five is gone in my opinion. So right here, best DB available, Brian Branch. I feel like he could be a slot corner in the NFL or a safety. Harrison Smith is getting older. Maybe you wait till he retires, then you move Brian Branch there. But right away, I think Brian Branch will be a good slot corner in the NFL. And I think that's what the Vikings need right now. Moving on. Jaguars at 24, what do they need? Offensive line, in my opinion. Defense was not great. However, I think you need to give Trevor Lawrence more time to throw the ball. I think you need to open up more running lanes for Travis Etienne. So let's take, in my opinion, the best interior offensive lineman available. That's not a center. O'Cyrus Torrence, in-state Florida. They already know everything about him. I think that's a perfect fit. Next up, we have the Giants. Receiver in the playoffs for them was guys off the street and Darius Slayton, which is not good. If you look at receiver here, a lot of options. A lot of great options. No, I think the top receivers are off the board here. I think all these guys have their own risks. In my opinion, though, Josh Downs, the safest bet here. He's going to come in day one and be a slot receiver, be a deep threat, has great hands, great route running. He's going to be a guy Daniel Jones can hit when he's in a pinch. He's going to be a guy Daniel Jones can trust. And he's just going to be a young receiver that they have moving forward, which they just don't have on the roster right now. Cowboys at 26. They have a lot of needs. They need receiver, they need cornerback, but I think the pick here, Tony Pollard was the X factor of this team last season. He's coming off a major injury, and quite frankly, he's a free agent. I do not think he's going to return. So you draft an instant Tony Pollard replacement, a guy who can hopefully match that production that Pollard had last season, and that's Jahmyr Gibbs. Uh, a monster at Alabama. He was a monster at Georgia Tech. His ability to catch out the backfield is second to none in this draft class. He's explosive. He's a little undersized. He's not going to be that goal line back, that three down back. You still have Zeke for that for however long he stays there. But I think progressively we're going to see Jahmyr Gibbs play a huge role in that offense moving forward if they draft him. Pick 27, the Bills. Not a lot of needs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs would have been a good pick for them just now, but instead, I'm just going to go edge here. Once Von Miller went down in the playoffs, they had no pass rush. Greg Rousseau was a little disappointing, in my opinion, in the playoffs. Regular season, he was good. But I think they need another guy to generate pass rush. And Lucas Van Ness was a great power rusher in college. His size, his strength, I think there's no way it doesn't translate to the NFL. So I think at 27, that's great value for the Bills to get another pass rusher in there. Bengals, I think corner is a big need. I think tackle is a bigger need. You just got to continue to protect Joe Burrow. It was not good enough last season. It still needs to get better. Anton Harrison here available at 28. Great pick in my opinion. New Orleans Saints, they traded back into the first round. They got this pick for Sean Payton in the Broncos trade. So who do they take? A lot of needs. It says corner, it says quarterback. I don't think you're going to solve either of these at this pick. A position I do think you can improve significantly is wide receiver. If you look at the options here, you got a lot of options. Zay Flowers, Kayshon Boutte, in-state. Instead, I'm going to go with a guy who I think has possibly the highest potential, but a lot of risk in this class. That's Jalen Hyatt, the Blitnikoff winner for this season, the best receiver in the country. His speed might be at the top of the entire draft class. Only problem is he's skinny, 175 pounds at 6 foot. He will get jammed at the line of scrimmage a lot in his rookie season, wherever he goes. But having a guy that can space the field like that, you know he has the top end speed to take the top off of defense. I feel like that's too valuable to pass up, at least not in the first round. So that's where I have him at 29. Eagles here at 30. This is their own pick. They just lost the Super Bowl. What do they do here? I went with the kind of wild pick at number 10, so I'm going to go with a pick that makes more sense for them, and that is pass rush. They're probably going to lose Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave this offseason. So you need a guy to try and match that. Let's see here, actually. Filter, edge rush. So who do you take here from the options here? A lot of options. BJ Ojulari, Will McDonald, Keon White, Isaiah Foskey. But I'm gonna go with the guy, another Georgia guy that been drafting a lot last season at least. Nolan Smith. He was a top 5 player in his recruiting class out of high school. Dealt with injuries last season, but he went to Georgia, so you know he's an athletic freak. And the upside, they don't need him to be a star right away. They have guys there still, but the development potential here for him to be a top end pass rusher in the future, I think is too great to pass up on at 30. Next up with the Chiefs, their team is just they have the benefit of having damn near everybody on a rookie contract that's not named Patrick Mahomes or Chris Jones or Travis Kelce. So they have money and they're able to replace guys so quickly. Like, for example, Juju Smith-Schuster, 1 year deal. Why sign him back when you can just draft a guy to probably match his production right here? Who's the pick? Probably the guy with the highest upside available here. That's Zay Flowers. He's a little undersized, but I think the Chiefs know a little bit about, growing the potential of undersized receivers. So I think that's going to be a low risk pick for them, high reward. And 32nd pick, first pick of the second round. This will be the last one I do just to get 32 picks in there, make it even. And this is the Steelers. Last pick, I went Paris Johnson, did I not? Yep, Paris Johnson. Who do you take here? A lot of options, probably corner. Not a real number one corner in Pittsburgh right now. So who do you take to probably be that number one guy? A lot of options here. There will be about 10 corners drafted in the first 2 rounds. So right here, I'm gonna give him Emmanuel Forbes. Um, I think it'll be a corner with this pick. Not honestly, can't even defend Emmanuel Forbes too much about it could be just from a list of guys. I think Emmanuel Forbes is most likely the highest to go from those guys available. And that's my first 32. Let's see if I can figure out how to end it here. The shoot. Well, I can't end it, but y'all have seen it. That is my mock draft for the first 32. Next time I'll just do first round so I can get the ending of it like that. But yeah. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, please, if you enjoyed the video. And I will be back soon and see you next time. Thanks.